on that. So without any further ado, Greg, you can tell them why you should be the candidate of their choice.
I'm a Christian, conservative Republican is the short answer I give to that. I've got a proven record of cutting taxes. 3 out of the 4 years I was on before, I'm a past board chair. At the same time that we were getting those results, the student achievement results were rising. It's not about how much you spend on each student, it's how effectively you spend that money. And that's the part that we're missing in our leadership on school board. Again, my name is Greg Bowen. I went ahead and answered your question, but I don't want to start too much without thanking you for this opportunity, because I have to get out and get my message out to the people. And I want to thank especially Carol for following me around, supporting me as I run. And we all need a good spouse that will help us through these times. She'll critique me when I get outside and tell me what all I said wrong. It's important that we get leadership in our county, in our state, at our federal level that believe on principles just like we believe. Whenever the people we elect, because we don't take time to research what they believe in and how they stand on issues, then we get this chaos that's going on. And the school system right now seems to be in a lot of chaos. We have leadership that has gotten off path of what the real mission is, which is to educate children. And when we start self-serving instead of serving the people, we took an oath when we get sworn in to serve the people, and then we get away from that, start self-serving. That's when this happens. I'm asking people to vote for me. I believe I'll have a calming effect on the board. I believe that we can start turning this thing back around into the beliefs that we have. There's a lot of difference between me and my opponent. My opponent, whenever we signed up to run as Republicans, you can research, and it's out there, as was talked about. There's no record of her ever voting as a Republican. So I guess that only leaves one thing that she voted as. And her questionnaire that she filled out, it asked, why did you run as a Republican? She didn't answer that until the end, but it's in there if you'll read it, and at least it's plain to say, because that's, in my language, it's the only way you'll get elected in Bartow County to run as a Republican. I am a Republican. I've always voted as a Republican. I've been proud of my right to vote. Whenever we got married, we lived right there in Folsom, and we wanted to keep our Folsom district. So the people around the community would call us, say, did you go vote? Go vote, because we don't want to lose our booth. And so we were just raised to always vote since we were old enough to do it. It was just the thing you did, a civic pride. And that's what I believe that we should do. If we need to get involved in our community, and if we have skill sets, we need to add that to helping our community. I'm a business person. I run a successful business. I've been involved with banks. I'm a director on banks, and I have been and on national business boards, and so I have experience dealing with large budgets, over $100 million budgets, and I have experience from when I was on school board with their budget. And one thing that I think is going on now that would be different if I was on is where they're cutting at now is in the classroom, furlough days with the teachers. Completely opposite spot to cut. That's where the rubber meets the road, where the children get educated. In the old days, all they had was a room like this and a bunch of kids in a room, and that teacher taught, and those children learned. Now what they do is that's where they cut, and they keep all the administration up above. We need to be looking at central office and down instead of from the classroom up to make our cuts. And we need to cut things that aren't essential to education, because we have to focus on what our goal is, which is to educate children. So don't cut the things that educate, cut the things that are the extras. And our problem isn't that we're not taxing enough. I applaud a lot of people in this room, because we would have a 1.5 mil increase right now if it wasn't for the pressure that's been brought to bear on this board. But they felt that pressure, I believe, and at the last moment they pulled that and kept it steady. That was the right answer to do, but they're still spending $6 million more this year than they're bringing in. So they still don't understand about zero-based budgets and making your budget fit the money you're bringing in. We have to get focus on that. You start with what money you're bringing in, and then you see how much you spend it in the way you need to spend it. You don't decide how much you need to spend and then tax that amount. It's the opposite way. When I was on, we cut the millage rate the last 3 years I was on, and I pledge that we'll at least hold it steady if we can't still get it lowered. We can still lower it because it's still pretty doggone high. It's 17.9 and the legal limit's 21, I think. 20. 20? So we're still bumping the upper edge. So we have to keep focusing on not how much we're taxing the people, but on how much we're spending, and where we're spending it at is the biggest part. So I ask that you'll vote for me and call your friends. One thing that a lot of you may think, well, I'm not in the Adairsville, Kingston, Folsom area. But what you need to understand is it affects you because there's 5 of us that votes on that millage rate. So every one of those people on that school board sets your tax rate in some way that affects the whole county. So call somebody in our district because it's a complete different opposite, me and my opponent, on how we believe on the taxation issue. Any questions?
Could you explain what the boundaries are of your district?
Well, Kingston, 411 going out to Kingston, and if you're north of that, Adairsville, Folsom, out Spring Place Road. So if you vote, the big thing is if you vote at Folsom or if you vote at Adairsville or Kingston, then I'm asking you to vote for me. If you don't vote in one of them 3 places, I'm asking you to call 5 or 10 of your friends that do and encourage them to vote, because I think that's the key to this election. It's July 31st. We got to get the vote out.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
One other question. I think I heard sometime back that during one of your tenures there, well, Bowen Bartow was not the system attorney for a while. Is that correct?
Yes and no. What we were able to do, I like Boyd. I have no personal problem with Boyd, but Boyd represents so many municipalities in this county. I believe we have a conflict of interest. That he has conflict of interest, and so what we were able to do was get 3 votes to hire alternative, additional attorneys out of Atlanta, and anything to do with land or personnel, we would use them. And that's how we separated. So we still had Boyd there if there was some kind of reference for something that went on the county, because he's been here and represented everybody for forever, so he's a great knowledge base. But at the same time, we didn't want to get into that conflict of interest, so if it was personnel or if it was land, we would put in alternative attorneys.
Thank you for clearing that.
Well, we don't need to build a kingdom.
Anything else? Thank you so much for letting me be here.
Thank you.